My doctor looked at my chart, then looked at me and said something I didn't expect. Whatever you're doing, don't stop. I'm 74 years old. I take no medications for chronic illness. I still drive myself to the grocery store. Last month, I walked 2 miles with my granddaughter without stopping to rest. And when my neighbor's son, a fit 45-year-old, helped me carry boxes up the stairs, he was the one who got winded first. I'm not telling you this to brag. I'm telling you this because 3 years ago, I sat in the same doctor's office and he told me something very different. He told me I was heading toward the kind of decline most people don't come back from, and what changed between then and now wasn't expensive medication. It wasn't a special diet my doctor prescribed. It wasn't anything I found in a hospital. It was 4 specific things I started doing. Things that most people over 70 have quietly stopped doing without even realizing it. My name is June Hargrove. I'm 74 and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. And today I'm going to tell you exactly what those 4 things are. Because if you can still do them, or if you start doing them again, it means you are aging better than the majority of people your age. And if you can't do them yet, I'm going to show you how to get there. Before we go any further, please hit that like button and subscribe. This channel tells real stories for people over 60, stories that the medical system doesn't have time to tell you. And what I'm about to share today is something I wish someone had told me 10 years earlier. Now, let me ask you something honestly. When you were 50, you probably didn't think twice about these things. You just did them. They were automatic. But somewhere between 60 and 70, something shifts. The world starts telling you to slow down, to be careful, to let others help, and slowly, without noticing, you stop doing the very things that were keeping you strong. Here's what researchers at Johns Hopkins discovered that most people never hear. The difference between seniors who maintain full independence at 80 and those who don't. It almost never comes down to genetics. It almost never comes down to luck. It comes down to 4 specific abilities. 4 things that predict, with remarkable accuracy, how your next decade will go. And the number 4 thing on this list, the one we'll start with, surprises almost everyone who hears it. Because it has nothing to do with your body. Thing number 4, you can still get genuinely bored. I know that sounds strange. Bear with me. Nora Callahan is 77 and lives in Tucson, Arizona. She called her daughter one evening and said something that worried the entire family. I don't have anything I'm looking forward to anymore. Every day feels the same. I wake up, I watch television, I eat, I sleep. Nothing excites me, nothing bothers me. I'm just here. Her daughter thought this was depression. Her doctor thought it was depression. They adjusted her medication, nothing changed. But here's what was actually happening to Nora, and what happens to millions of seniors over 70 without anyone catching it. She had stopped being curious. Neuroscientists at the University of California have found that boredom, real boredom, the restless, uncomfortable kind, is actually a sign of a healthy, active brain. When you feel bored, your brain is doing something remarkable. It's scanning the environment, searching for stimulation, demanding engagement. It is hungry. A brain that can no longer feel bored has stopped demanding, and a brain that stops demanding begins to shrink. Studies show that seniors who report "nothing interests me anymore" are 40% more likely to develop cognitive decline within 5 years than seniors who still feel restless, curious, and eager for new experience. A viewer once commented on one of our videos, "I realized I hadn't learned anything new in 3 years. I was just maintaining. That scared me more than any diagnosis ever had." They were absolutely right to be scared, and absolutely right to pay attention to that feeling. Here's what genuinely bored people, people who are aging well, look like. They still get irritated when they can't figure something out. They still feel the pull toward a book they haven't read, a place they haven't visited, a question they can't answer. They still feel impatient sometimes, restless, like there isn't enough time. That restlessness is not a problem. That restlessness is your brain saying, "I am still here." I still want things. Nora, it turned out, hadn't lost her mind. She had lost her schedule. She had retired from a job she loved with no plan for what would replace it. The emptiness wasn't illness, it was absence. Her daughter helped her sign up for a community pottery class, not because pottery would cure anything, but because it gave Nora something she hadn't had in 2 years, something to look forward to, and something to get frustrated by when it didn't go right. 3 months later, Nora called her daughter and said, "I ruined 4 bowls this week and I cannot wait to try again on Thursday." That is a healthy brain. That is someone aging better than most. What to do if you've lost this? Don't start with something comfortable. Start with something slightly too hard. A language you've never spoken, a card game you've never played, a subject that always intimidated you. The discomfort you feel is not a warning sign. It's the feeling of your brain waking back up. But while curiosity protects your mind, what I'm about to share next protects something even more immediate. Something that, if you lose it, changes every single day of your life. Thing number 3, you can still recover from a bad night's sleep. This one sounds so simple. But listen carefully, because this is not about sleeping well. Almost nobody over 70 sleeps perfectly. This is about what happens the morning after you don't. James Whitfield is 71 and lives in Memphis, Tennessee. He sleeps poorly, always has. He wakes up 2-3 times a night. He gets maybe 6 hours, sometimes less. His wife worried about him for years. But here is what's remarkable about James. By 9 o'clock most mornings, he has made his breakfast, walked the dog, read the paper, and is in his garden. The bad night behind him. Present in his day. "I've never been a great sleeper," he told me, "but I've always been a great morning person. I just reset." Compare that to Arthur Neville, 73, also in Memphis, who sleeps a similar number of hours. But Arthur wakes foggy. He spends the first 2 hours on the couch, unable to engage with anything. By noon, he's exhausted again. He cancels plans. He avoids commitments. He has organized his entire life around his sleep problems. James and Arthur get roughly the same amount of sleep, but only one of them is still living fully. The difference, according to sleep researchers at Stanford, is something called sleep resilience, the body's ability to recover its function and energy even after imperfect rest. And this ability is one of the clearest markers of biological age. People who have maintained sleep resilience after 70 tend to have lower inflammation markers, stronger immune response, and significantly better emotional regulation than those who haven't. Here's the part that surprises most people. Sleep resilience isn't primarily about what happens at night. It's built during the day. The 3 things that most directly maintain sleep resilience after 70. First, morning light within 30 minutes of waking. Natural sunlight, not a lamp. Even on a cloudy day, outdoor light is 10 times stronger than indoor light, and it sets the circadian anchor your brain needs to organize your day. Second, physical movement before noon, not strenuous exercise. A 20-minute walk, carrying groceries, working in the garden. Movement in the first half of your day tells your body that this is waking time, which makes sleeping time come more naturally. Third, and this is the one most people ignore, a fixed wake time. Not a fixed bedtime, a fixed wake time. The same time, 7 days a week, regardless of how you slept. Your brain builds its sleep architecture around when you wake, not when you go to bed. A viewer wrote to us last month, "My doctor kept adjusting my sleep medication. Nothing worked. Then someone told me to stop sleeping in on weekends. I thought that was ridiculous. But I tried it for 3 weeks, and now I fall asleep faster than I have in a decade." That viewer is experiencing the body's remarkable capacity to regulate itself when you give it the right anchors. If you wake up from a bad night and can still function, still engage, still find your way into your morning, that is not a small thing. That is your body working. That is aging well. Now, things 3 and 4 are about your brain and your recovery. But thing number 2 is about something that the medical community has only recently begun to understand as the single greatest predictor of long-term independence. Thing number 2, you can still do something physical that scares you a little. I need to tell you about Eleanor Chang. She's 76 and lives in Portland, Oregon. Last spring, her grandson invited her to go paddleboarding, not whitewater rapids. A calm lake 50 yards from shore with instructors present. Her daughter thought it was reckless. Her son told her she didn't have to prove anything. Eleanor went. She fell in twice. She laughed both times. She got back on both times. And when she drove home that evening, dripping wet and tired in a way she hadn't felt in years, she sat in the parking lot and cried, not from pain, from something she couldn't immediately name. Later, she told me, I cried because I realized I had spent 3 years doing only things I was certain I could do, safe things, comfortable things, and I had forgotten what it felt like to try. Here's what the science shows and what most doctors don't have time to tell you. Physical confidence, the belief that your body can handle something unknown, doesn't just disappear on its own, it erodes through avoidance. Every time you skip something because it might be too hard, your brain updates its estimate of what you're capable of. Slightly lower, slightly smaller, until the world you're willing to move through becomes very small indeed. Researchers who study aging at the Mayo Clinic call this the fear avoidance spiral. A minor fear of falling leads to reduced movement. Reduced movement leads to weakened muscles and worse balance. Worse balance leads to greater fear. Greater fear leads to more avoidance. And on it goes until seniors who are perfectly capable of an active life are living as though they are fragile and then becoming fragile because of it. The seniors who break this spiral, who age best, share one characteristic. They still do something physical that introduces mild, managed uncertainty. Not danger, uncertainty. A new walking route they haven't memorized yet. A swimming stroke they haven't tried. A yoga class where they don't know all the poses. Dancing with a partner when they're not sure of the steps. It doesn't have to be impressive. It has to be slightly beyond what feels guaranteed. Harold Jenkins is 72 and lives in Birmingham, Alabama. He hadn't done anything athletic since his early 60s. His knees hurt. His doctor had told him to take it easy. He took it so easy that by 70, he was winded climbing one flight of stairs. Then his physical therapist said something that changed everything. She said, "Your knees hurt because your muscles have stopped supporting them. You're resting the very things that need to be worked." She started him on chair-based resistance exercises, nothing heroic. But 3 months later, Harold walked up 2 flights of stairs and stood at the top, surprised. I was more scared to try than I should have been, or he told me, and less capable than I needed to be. Both of those things were fixed by the same thing. If you're still willing to try something physical that you're not sure you can do, if you still feel that small flutter of nervous excitement before something new, then you have something precious. Don't let it go. Feed it regularly with small challenges. And now we've reached number 1, the thing that, according to every major longevity study in the last 20 years, predicts healthy aging more powerfully than diet, more powerfully than exercise, more powerfully than genetics. The one thing that, when it's present, makes everything else possible. Thing number 1, you still have at least one person you call when something good happens, not when something goes wrong. Anyone can maintain those relationships. They're built on need. I mean, the person you call when something goes right, when you saw something beautiful, when you finished something you're proud of, when something made you laugh so hard you needed to tell someone immediately. That person. Can you name them right now? I want to tell you about Walter Simmons. He's 75 and lives in Sacramento, California. His wife of 48 years passed away 2 years ago. His children are kind, attentive, responsible. They call every Sunday. They visit on holidays. Walter told me, "I have people who love me. I don't have anyone I talk to." He explained it this way. When he goes to his son's house for dinner, everyone is kind, everyone asks how he's doing, everyone makes sure he's comfortable. But nobody asks what he's reading, nobody asks what he's thinking about. Nobody is curious about Walter anymore. Not the Walter he is right now, today at 75. I feel like a photograph of myself, he told me. Everyone is very fond of the photograph, but the person in it is still here, still changing, still thinking, and no one is looking at that. This is one of the most underreported crises in senior health. And it doesn't show up on a blood test. Research published in the journal PLOS Medicine followed 300,000 people across multiple countries and found that social isolation carries a mortality risk equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. More dangerous than obesity, more dangerous than physical inactivity. But the researchers made an important distinction. It's not the quantity of social contact that matters most, it's the quality. Specifically, the presence of at least one relationship in which you are known, not taken care of. Known, a relationship in which you are still growing, still interesting, still the subject of someone else's genuine curiosity. A viewer once left a comment that I've thought about many times since. They wrote, "After my husband died, my children called every day, but I realized they were calling to check on my safety, not to find out what I thought about anything. I had to go make a new friend at 71 to feel fully alive again." That took courage, real courage. More courage than paddleboarding, more courage than taking a new walking route. Because making a friend at 71 means admitting that you need one. It means being willing to be new somewhere, to be a beginner at relationship again, to sit in a room full of strangers and stay. But that viewer did it, and they told us it changed everything. The seniors who age best, who remain sharp, mobile, engaged, and purposeful deepest into their lives, almost universally share this. They have at least one relationship in which they are still becoming. Not settled, not photographed, still becoming. Who is that person for you? If the name comes immediately, if you can feel that person's presence right now, you have something that no supplement, no medication, no exercise program can give you. And if the name doesn't come easily, then I want to tell you what I told myself 3 years ago when I couldn't answer it either. It is not too late to find them. It is not too late to become the kind of person someone else calls when something good happens. It starts with showing up, staying curious, and being willing to be interested in someone else's life first. That's how every real friendship begins, including the ones that start at 74. Let me bring all 4 of these things together. Thing number 4, you can still get genuinely bored. Your brain is still hungry, still demanding, still searching. Thing number 3, you can still recover from a bad night's sleep. Your body knows how to reset, how to anchor itself, how to keep going. Thing number 2, you can still do something physical that scares you a little. You haven't surrendered to the fear avoidance spiral that shrinks so many lives. And thing number 1, you still have someone you call when something good happens. You are still known, still becoming, still part of someone else's world in a way that matters. Now, if you heard this list and recognized all 4 in yourself, I want you to sit with that for a moment, because that is not ordinary. Most people your age cannot say that. Most people have quietly let 1 or 2 or all of these slip away, not from failure, but simply from not knowing they needed to protect them. And if you heard this list and felt the weight of something missing, if one of these made you pause, made your chest feel a little tight, then I want to say something directly to you. This is not your fault. Nobody handed you a guide. Nobody told you that getting bored was something to protect. Nobody warned you that the first time you stopped trying something difficult, you were beginning a spiral. Nobody explained that the social relationships that feel most comfortable are sometimes the ones keeping you most alone. You didn't fail to maintain these things. You simply weren't told they needed maintaining. You know now. And knowing is where everything changes. If this video spoke to something true in your life, please share it with a friend over 70, with a sibling, with a parent, with anyone you know who is quietly getting smaller when they don't have to be. Hit the like button and subscribe so you never miss what we share next. And leave me a comment. I read every single one. Tell me, which of these 4 things do you still have? And which one do you want to work on? Your answer might be exactly what someone else watching this right now needs to hear. Thank you for watching, and remember, aging may be inevitable, but becoming invisible is a choice, and it's one you do not have to make.